I saw that you're having some good experiences with giving real deadlines instead of ASAP. And some people are still having to train those people that they really mean ASAP. And I think I put it in the discussion board, but I want to make sure I reiterate it now. Even if others are not responding to your specific deadlines, it gives you kind of permission to follow up. And you know when it's appropriate to follow up, and they know that it is appropriate for you to follow up, which eliminates that feeling of, well, gee, did I give them enough time to respond, and are they going to think I'm nagging them? All of that just goes away if you give specific deadlines. It also gives them an opportunity, and some of you commented, to be able to prioritize their own agenda, and an opportunity to let you know if that deadline is just not manageable for them and for whatever reason, so you can negotiate another time. What I'm not sure you're doing as much is requesting specificity, because remember, your bosses and the people you work with maybe have never been introduced to this concept. They may not be the best communicators. So they may be still using ASAP or now or stat or right away and not really meaning it. And it's perfectly okay, if your tone of voice is right, to say, I think I could get that done by such and such time. Is that soon enough? And let them clarify just by asking the question. Would tomorrow morning be all right, or do you need it sooner? Just let them say, oh gosh, it doesn't really need to be done till tomorrow afternoon. Let them clarify. I did want to make a note about your schedules and calendars, and I'm going to tell a little story. I am a storyteller, so I hope you will bear with me. It's from my personal experience. About 15 years ago, I had a day timer, and I chose the day timer that had the days broken into 15-minute increments. And I would spend hours scheduling my 15-minute increments until all the increments were filled in. I did this every day. And then, every day, life would happen, and I would feel like a failure because something on my to-do list did not get done. There were only 2 or 3 days a year that I actually felt successful. And I realized it was because of my day timer, because I was filling in every spare moment and not allowing for any life to happen or other people or anything. In conjunction with this, I would also plan my trips, and I did what I called the loop. I would plan everything I had to do out and about for the same day, and I would do it in a very efficient manner so that all of the items would be covered. If I started from point A, I would go in a full circle and come back to point A. And if I could, I'd make it so they were all right-hand turns. Well, the father of my children at the time said to me, I hate the loop. And to me, he was ridiculous because he would not do a loop. He would go out, do the most important thing, come back, go back out, do another thing, which might have been right by the first thing, come back, and he didn't get half as much done as I did. But what I realized in both cases is that he was actually more effective. I was more efficient. I saved gas, I saved time, but I didn't always get to every single thing on my list. He was more effective because he prioritized the most important things. And maybe he didn't get everything done, but he got the most important things done that day and was not afraid to go out the next day and do the second most important things. And I noticed something else. He was a lot more calm. That makes him more effective. So, a word to the wise about the schedules and the calendars and the planning. If it gives you a feeling of relief, if you're using it as a tool to say, I know I will get to that, so I can put that out of my mind for now and focus on what's before me, if it makes you feel relief, it is an excellent tool. If it starts to become oppressive to you and makes you feel like a failure or that there's just too much to do, it is no longer serving you. And I recommend doing what I do now, which is instead of my 15-minute increments, I have a monthly calendar and just put in the top 3 things for each day. And they can happen in whatever order as long as those 3 things get done. And that, I know that sounds too difficult for many of you who have more than 3 things, but it is important to limit yourself to just the most important thing. Believe me, you'll get on a roll. As you accomplish the most important thing and get it off your plate, you will find that more time frees up and you are able to accomplish more. So don't be afraid to limit to just the top 3, and be okay with it if just 3 are all you get done. That's a success. Ready to take it up a notch? I don't know if you saw the post, but I went back on and I realized some of you were trying to apply the deadlines to children and teens. And I find that for children and teens, or others who are not very good at monitoring their time, it may be better, instead of giving a specific time to have something done, to say, do this before you do that. To just place it in the order, so that they know if they start to do that, it'll remind them that they were supposed to do this first. Try that out and see how that works. And here is the new item I want to present. We're now ready to, now that you've worked on yourselves internally, it's time to start dipping into others. And what we want to do is understand what is not said. The first concept, the first proposition I want to give you is that there is no such thing as lazy. And you say, what? But I want you to contemplate this. I have learned this through studying students for 15, 20 years. And what I learned was what other people call a lazy student, just didn't want to do the work, is not lazy at all. It's a fear that it'll be too hard. It's a fear that it'll take too much time, or they're simply overwhelmed with other things that are going on. Or it seems a lot more fun to play video games, none of which carry the connotation of laziness. I want you to think about this in terms of how you talk to yourself. Have you ever called yourself, oh, I was so lazy this weekend, I didn't do anything I was supposed to do? I was bad about beating myself up with the lazy. And then I realized, much like getting a cold, it was my body's mechanism of saying, you are overwhelmed, or you are fearful that this is just going to be too hard. That is why you took that whole day off, or that's why you watched TV for 4 hours instead of doing what you were supposed to do. Once I realized that, I was able to take charge of it a little better and say, okay, well, if it's overwhelming, let me break it down into just getting it organized. And of course, once I got it organized, then I would get on a little bit of a roll, and I'd say, well, I could do just the first part. I know how to do that. And then if I didn't know how to do the second part, then I'd say, well, Monday I will call the person and ask them about the second part. And that was good enough. No longer lazy. Got it done. Now I want you to think about the people at work, because you know you have called at least one coworker late. Oh, that person's lazy. They just don't want to do anything. And the next time you get yourself saying that, I want you to think, I wonder if that person is just overwhelmed right now. I wonder if they have a lot on their plate. And maybe the next time you talk to them, you might even say, is there something I can do to help lighten your load? Do you have too much on your plate? Maybe you will say to them, is there something you don't understand about this process that I can help clarify? Because I'm willing to spend a minute or two to talk to you about it. Just see how your feelings towards this person will change as you give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're fearful of something. Maybe they are overwhelmed by something. And as your feelings change, I'll be interested to see how they react to you.